Welcome to Interactive Storytelling. Previously, we have reviewed two storyworld categories, linear storyworlds and branching storyworlds. Both of them imposed paths that the events have to follow. Open storyworlds try to get rid of these limitations and make it possible for the interactor to choose freely. Open storyworlds present the biggest challenge to the designer. Although the ideal case would be a totally open world where the interactor could do whatever they want, choose whatever they like, and engage with whomever they prefer, in practice the designer has to set up structures to guide the interactor. A typical way to create a structure into an open story world is to scatter the story throughout different levels. In this example, the story world is divided to 4 levels. The first level comprises events that the interactor can choose to take in any order, or even skip some of them. These events focus on a part of the overall story world. For example, if the interactor plays the role of a detective, these initial events could help to get acquainted with the story world and the character. The landlord might remind that the rent hasn't been paid for 3 months now. The supervisor at work might tell that there's a job evaluation coming soon and things don't look so good. And the car might break down on the way to a stakeout. All this could help to shape out the character and introduce the mood of the story world. For advancing the story, an event can have a special role. In our example, it could be the hint that there's suspicious activity happening involving an old acquaintance of the police. Something is about to happen. The interactor has to choose this gatekeeper event sooner or later in order to proceed to the next level. In our example, the transition would take the interactor to the suspect's home street to witness an exchange between him and a young woman. The woman leaves in a hurry with a packet. The second level has a new set of events from which the interactor can choose. There can be an event that leads to another event. This sequence of events can be even longer. Such short linear sequences are called threaded events. They help to impose a structure wherever it's needed. In our example, this could be that the interactor decides to intimidate the suspect to find out more about the woman and the packet, which leads to the suspect escaping and the interactor pursuing him to a roof of a building, which leads to the suspect jumping over to the roof of the next building but dropping his phone on the street below. The entrance to the third level again requires the interactor to pass through a gatekeeper event, such as identifying the woman as suspect's niece. Similarly, the fourth level can be reached only by its own gatekeeper event, such as locating the packet to a forest near the woman's childhood home. Designing this kind of an open story world gets quite close to normal level design, where the gatekeeper events could be, for instance, boss fights or opening entrances to new parts of the world. Another possibility to create an open story world is to use an epistemological approach. Here, the elements of the story are scattered throughout the story world and the interactor discovers them. A typical example is a whodunit. First, we need a hidden story that is a linear sequence of events. This is, in our case, a story of a murder. The actual story world is remote from the hidden story. The hidden story could have taken place in the past or in some remote place outside of the story world. Simply put, there's no way that the story world can affect the events of this hidden story. An event of the hidden story has, however, a counterpart event in the story world. For instance, the motive for the murder could relate to the finding of the deceased new insurance policy. All the other events also correspond to events in the story world. They could be interviews with the suspects and witnesses, finding out evidence, or events that point out what has happened in the hidden story. Among these events are other story events that don't directly relate to the hidden story. The interactor is free to make their own selection through the events in the story world. There's no guarantee in which order they discover the hidden story. There's no guarantee that they discover all of the events related to the hidden story. Their path through the story world is their own, and they infer themselves what has happened in the hidden story. For example, the game Her Story includes a hidden story which can be experienced in any order by entering keywords to the game's internal search engine. However, the player is most likely to search terms related to the events that had happened recently, hence creating a loose structure into the open narrative. Now that we've seen all three story world categories, it's time to come back to the question whether they are connected to the three approaches to solve the narrative paradox. A linear story world could use a drama manager that suggests the interactor a preferred storyline or leads the interactor to make selections so that the next cutscene makes sense. This could as well be realized using the character-centric model by letting emergence handle the selections. In branching story world, the author-centric approach can prevent the interactor from sidestepping to the possibly not so well-covered areas of the story world, or guide the interactor in a narrative graph. However, the more robust the narrative structure is for allowing different walks, the more character-centric the platform can be. In an open story world, the underlying platform has a major impact. A drama manager could be used to guide the interactors so that they don't get lost and to assist them in finding the gatekeeper events. On the other hand, a hybrid or character-centric approach offers the best possibility to make the story world more lifelike. To sum it up, anything goes. The underlying platform and its approach doesn't exclude any story world type. Selecting the story world type is an important decision that the designer has to make. But then the designer has to start to create the story world that they want to offer to the interactor. How does the actual design then work? What belongs to the life of a designer? In the last video of this fourth set, we'll review how the design process works. See you there.